All right, hello everyone, and thank you for tuning in once again to the Black Box Podcast, BBOR Black Box Online Radio. Now, I did a recent upload on a Q&A session where I just sort of addressed some of the comments left by you guys on these uploads here for this channel, Black Box Online Radio. And there were so many that I didn't really get to all of them. I was going over some of them again, and there was some very good stuff in here. So this time I also have everything written out in front of me. The last time I had some things written down, and I was also just pulling out some things from memory, so it was a little less organized. And we have quite a lot of things that we can talk about now. And also another reason for the next Zodiac Killer Q&A upload is I didn't get to discuss the Lyndon Lafferty theory at all because some people left some interesting comments on the Lyndon Lafferty case. So why don't we get to it? The first comment is coming to us from The Cat, who I read one comment from The Cat on the previous one. Thank you for commenting, Cat. And The Cat says, "This case is a total government cover-up. They will go to any lengths to cover things up. Trust me on that. One cold case leads to another, and yes, there was a Zodiac killer, possibly two." Now, when we have something of this nature, this is in reference to the Lyndon Lafferty case. Now, what they are saying is, the Cat is talking about how Lyndon Lafferty's theory revolves around a person named Tucker, which is a pseudonym that Lafferty gives to the Zodiac killer, his suspect that he believes is the Zodiac. He calls him Tucker. One big thing, though, is Lafferty's theory is all about government cover-up, that a judge used his power to issue an order that this person shall not be investigated. But there is a second suspect in the Zodiac killer, there were possibly two people involved. Yes, I addressed that one in my upload on Arthur Lee Allen, where, I can't say that I believe that 100%. It's just, I had that sort of feeling as well. And I made an upload called Arthur Lee Allen's Partner, where it's like, just theorizing a little, that maybe Arthur Lee Allen had a partner, and that is the reason why the DNA doesn't match. Is it possible that there were two people involved with the Zodiac killings? I'm going to say, yes, it is possible. I mean, I don't necessarily think that this has to be one person, but I would definitely say thank you to The Cat for commenting. And also, just going to give a shout out to someone named Colonel Khan. Colonel Khan says, "Great video, please upload more." Thank you, Colonel Khan. Big shout out to you. Now let's move on to some things regarding the case of Richard Gaikowski. Going to go back and look at some of the comments here. This one comes to us from Joe I. Levin. That's Joeyeleven. I guess it's pronounced Joe I. Levin. And Joe I. Levin wants to say that the person who spoke... There's a Richard Gaikowski documentary out, and what Joe I. Levin is talking about is that there is a woman in there who believes that Richard Gaikowski's voice matches the voice of the Zodiac that she heard on the phone. And the old lady said, the last four words are, "Don't worry, don't worry." And that sounded exactly like him aside from the rest of the conversation. Now what's funny is, if you've seen the film, the actor who plays Arthur Lee Allen has a voice that is almost exactly the same as Gaikowski's, because the movie is based on everything as much as possible, based on fact as much as possible. Excuse me for mangling that sentence, Joe I. Levin, but... Now, let's talk about this comment. Okay, there is a woman who says that she heard the Zodiac killer on the phone 40 years prior, and then they play an audio recording of Richard Gaikowski's voice, and that woman says, "Yes, that's the voice I heard. That is the voice of the Zodiac killer." Hearing it 40 years after the initial time that she spoke to the Zodiac on the phone. All I can say about that is I think that is absolutely too much of a stretch. I used to answer phones for customer service, and 5 minutes would pass and somebody would call, and I'd be like, oh, wait, did this person just call 5 minutes ago? And it turned out it was someone totally different, It's very, very difficult to distinguish voices over the phone, especially when someone is maybe of the same age, maybe of the same race, a 20-something or a 30-something Caucasian male from the same area, from the same city. Sometimes it's quite difficult to distinguish the voices from one another. Also, I've done the Arthur Lee Allen upload that I've done on the Zodiac killer case is rather recent, but I would like to thank everybody who has been commenting on that. As of now, it does not have the most views out of anything that I've ever done, but people really have been commenting on it a lot. First one comes to us from somebody named The One, simply The One. Oh, yes, and The One says, what if it wasn't Arthur Lee Allen, but 2 or more people involved? Yeah, I believe I read that one last time, saying that just, yes, absolutely. Not necessarily Arthur Lee Allen, but it could have been 2 different people. Absolutely, I would entertain that. But here we have a new one from The Right Angle. Yes, just that, The Right Angle, who writes, I'm sure no detective thought to run an analysis between people who could have licked the stamps and their sample. Anyone who suspected Allen would have known he hung out, and thus the detectives would have had their names. I'm just reading. I cracked the name of the cipher. It is Mr. Art Everett. You've got the wrong Arthur. Message me if you want to know more. And I did just that. I actually asked The Right Angle to leave the comments on the in the comments section. Leave all your information in the comments section so not only I can see it, but anybody who wants to know more about the Zodiac case can see this. If you say that you've cracked the cipher and you have a suspect named Mr. Art Everett, or Arthur Everett perhaps, I would love to hear everything you have to say, but please leave it in the comments section so we can have, people discussing it and sort of a cross-examination. Now, when it comes to something like this, it's like, I think there's also a certain degree of truth in what The Right Angle is saying, whether or not this person is coming at it from the same direction I am, or the same angle that I am. Ha ha ha. Sorry, bad joke. Now, they're saying, the police were always thinking about looking for one person, or if they're going to be checking Arthur Lee Allen's DNA, that is related to one person. Did it ever cross their minds about the sort of Arthur Lee Allen theory that we've been discussing on this channel, where it's like that maybe just one person wrote the letters and the ciphers, but Arthur Lee Allen committed the murders? I think that is something that would very easily go overlooked. I mean, not everyone would necessarily be in that sort of mindset. But just, to look for those type of details, or to approach that in that particular method. Now let's go on down to another one here. This was one that I wanted to get to in the first upload, but I'm glad that we have this second little Q&A, because we get to talk about some comments from Chastity Diener. Chastity has been discussing about the suspect Louis Myers. And in the Louis Myers upload, I discussed that I think that Louis Myers is kind of my strongest feel when it comes to the Zodiac killer. But, I'll flat out tell you, I don't know, and I would be open to any sort of correction, and I would entertain any new possibilities, such as somebody knows this guy named Art Everett. I want to hear more about it. But in the uploads on Louis Myers, I said very clearly that one of the things that I think hurts this story is that the person named Randy Kenny interviews Louis Myers on his deathbed. And by interview, I mean he's talking to his close friend on his deathbed. and this guy says that he is the Zodiac killer, and I was like, why not just make a recording? We had video recorders, we have audio recorders. Why not just make a recording so you get some definitive evidence? And Chastity Diener says, you say if somebody tells you no recording, well, some people aren't that bright. Some people might not realize that a recording is substantial, and when your friend is dying and ranting off these facts about going to high school with so-and-so or working at a busboy with so-and-so, the guy might not have known much about the Zodiac clusterfuck facts. And yes, Chastity did censor herself, by the way, and says clusterfuck is spelled with a star, but she stars out the word fuck. Cheers to you, Chastity, but I'm being profane. Pardonnez-moi. But a recollection of a story 45 years ago, or a 2002 confession. I don't know. I don't think that the lack of recording determines anything. And Chastity also says, I enjoyed the 3 uploads on Louis Myers. Well, she might have an exact point, and Amanda Knox told us very clearly, there is not a manual on life and how you're supposed to act or react. So just because somebody did not do exactly what we expected of them, okay, I'll give you that one, Chastity. I was like, why didn't this guy make any sort of recordings or any sort of definitive physical evidence that would prove that Louis Myers actually told them all these things? And Chastity is just sort of saying that doesn't necessarily mean anything. That's not necessarily significant. If someone's just ranting to you about how they were the Zodiac killer and you didn't immediately grab a tape recorder, all right, I'll give you that one. I still think that there is an enormous probability in the Louis Myers case, and if not Myers, because the Louis Myers case is centered on one person, and that also eliminates Sherry Jo Bates. That's not part of the equation. Maybe this was the work of 2 people. And when I mentioned that the whole thing about Arthur Lee Allen having a partner, and maybe that sort of answers some of the questions, I just sort of entertained that as a possibility. And other people have really brought this up a lot in the comment section, and we read through a few of them, especially that comment from the one, like, what if it was just 2 other people? Like, what if this is just the work of 2 people that were never identified because they're working as a team? It's possible. And the Lyndon Lafferty theory has at the very least brought us to the whole notion of maybe somebody somewhere in law enforcement tried to cover something up, even if it's not this judge that was talking about George Russell Tucker, whoever Lyndon Lafferty's person is, whoever that pseudonym is referring to. Maybe there is something going on with the higher-ups, or maybe they have, used some sort of administrative power to cover something up. I'm not saying that they have, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if that turned out to be the case, As we mentioned, this is very, very theoretical. Lots of theorizing and lots of speculation goes into this, but this channel, I hope, is one part of YouTube when that type of stuff is acceptable, when we can just discuss different theories. Well, once again, a big thank you to everybody who has left a comment on any of the uploads here on the Black Box Radio channel. It's very good to discuss these things with you, and just thank you all for your support, and everybody have a good day. Until next time.